Hi, my name is Kate Griffiths from Whole Self Leadership, and I'm coming on today to talk to you again about The Grace in Living, the book that I have been reading with my book club, the Conscious Conversations book club. And we're nearly at the end. We've only got one more session, and it's a bonus session because we've taken our time over this book. How often do you take the time over something rather than rushing to get something read or done to move on to the next task? That's part of what grace is. But I want to share another aspect of it rather than talking about, the individual aspects of the book, because you may not have read it, but you might be interested in how to have more ease and grace and flow in your life. So let me share something with you. About 2 weeks ago, on the 13th of July, we had the buck moon. And boy, was that a big one for me. I ended up feeling, all sorts of emotions, partly because I had challenges from my bank that was refusing to help me sort something out with my credit card. And if that wasn't enough, that took about an hour. I was driving home and I got involved in a car accident. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but the other driver was pretty rude and horrible. And then when I reported the incident to the police and followed it up with my insurance company, it turned out they didn't have any insurance, which is possibly why they tried to claim that, it was my word against theirs and nobody had seen it. So, what could we do? So I could have been really down about that. Oh no. And I did have a moment where I thought, my goodness, what is going on? And then on top of that, another thing happened, which I won't go into the detail of, but where I was severely challenged. It was another money thing, actually, by someone that I didn't expect to receive that from. I was thinking, wow, what is going on here? And I guess our ego self gets into a protective mode of, I must defend my position and cling on to what I believe to be right. And usually when we do that, when we react to something, rather than sitting and seeing what's coming up in our body and what body wisdom there is, and seeing our heart as a listening vessel, when we just react, then things go horribly wrong. And I'm not perfect. So initially with this other person, and on top of everything else that had happened, I got a little bit aerated. And the problem was, it's quite funny really, I was due to go on holiday and stay in their house. And I was like, oh, this is going to be tricky. How do I deal with this? And so I took a deep breath and I tuned in. And then I got there and I started to see things from a very different perspective. And I'm reminded of a post that I saw only today from Andrea Sanchez saying, it's all very important to be kind because we do not know what battles people are going through. And that's what I applied to the situation I found myself in, because I realised that actually I had so much going for me. I had so many wonderful things in my life. And perhaps this other person didn't in quite the same way. And so that's why they felt so strongly about their position and what was going on. And so I thought, I want to love them into being. And that was my decision, to give to them in the way that I would want to be given to, in the way that I would want to be seen. Make life easier for them. And the thing about that is when we do that and we do it intentionally and because we believe it's the right thing to do, then the magic starts to happen. And it may not be from that individual. They may continue to be a bit curmudgeonly, or there may not be that connection, or there may be. I can guarantee grace will come in some other form in your life, because that's what it means to live on purpose. And it's with every moment, every thought that you have and every intention. And what are we intending now and now and now? And that's, I guess, what grace is. To catch ourselves before we act and be aware, where am I coming from? What lies behind my perception on this? You know, maybe it's a fear that's coming up for me or you, or, you know, but you won't know until you go in and sit with that wound, if there is one, and love that part of yourself that perhaps you don't love, that you don't like. Because when we do that, we release the shadow and become a little bit more whole. And, you know, it's like taking the light out of the darkness. And the wonderful thing about all of this is we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're actually doing it for the collective. Because as we heal up a part of our own story, our own wounds, if you imagine it like a fractal, or, you know, if you don't know what that is, a piece of broccoli which has all those different heads, then something disappears because it's been healed. But it doesn't just disappear for you. Actually, there's a shift in the whole collective. And that's the beauty of this work, and it's why I love to work with colour, because it helps us come to consciousness ever so much quicker. So perhaps one way of realising expansion is to work with these two bottles that I'm going to show you just now. So this one, which is a clear, it's called the light body because we are all light at the end of the day. And that comes down through your head, through your crown chakra. And this one, which is called the core, you can see is a really beautiful copper bottle. And that comes from Mother Earth, or comes from the earth up through our system the other way. And when those two come together, it really releases those shadows, but also brings you into an expanded place, into greater expansion and more to come. And I'm sharing that with you because I am going to be bathing in those bottles very soon. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening. Bye for now, and see you again soon.